but.
I did it.
Oh,
I killed the flyer.
I was gonna make a 10-10
And I dropped my
Goliath.
headset.
Oh. Alright. Let's be frank here. We did not really explore Lorwyn. We pretty much played a mirror match, which is kind of sad because that's at least the second time that's fucking happened.
The day the clock tolls for thee when I also will run you into the ground with control.
Well, no, you're not. You're not running control. You're running.
I'm
aggro.
not running control. You're running control.
Yes, I am. I am running control.
Because you played 2 Oblivion rings.
Actually, I'm running 3.
You still played 2 of them.
This deck is actually one of my more prouder crafts because I'm not running 4s of everything like I usually do. The only cards that I'm running 4 of in here is actually Lash Out and the non-basic lands.
Lash Out
Everything else is run at 3.
Yeah. Well, and Lash Out is surprisingly effective, even though the Clash doesn't let you get your stuff every time.
It's pretty much if you win the Clash, it's a twin bolt, and if you lose the Clash, it's still a bolt.
Yeah. Oh boy.
The big combo that I was really hoping for game 1, if you want to let me show it off, please.
Okay.
As you had me down really, really low, but I was sitting on Arbiter of Knowledge. If I had been able to keep Stink Drinker, Daredevil out, and or get like 1 additional land, I would have been able to cast him and then say, all right, now we're both at 20.
I was trying to think of the function for Arbiter of Knowledge. I saw this guy, like, he's got to do something important.
And he does. He's a recovery system in the event that your control matchup isn't really working out that well. And as you saw, game 1, my control matchup was not really working out that well.
Well, can you explain to me, like, what the function is of this guy? Because all I read is that it treats it as though every player has the highest life point total among players. Now, how does that apply?
It's very simple. In the situation where I was describing, I had like 5 life left and you were still at 20. So when Arbiter of Knowledge enters play, he changes my life total to your life total.
Oh, so he changes.
Then have 20 life.
Right, and then you have all the life you need in order to get the nuts. Okay, now I understand.
Yeah, since I now actually have a big critter on the board that you realistically don't have an answer to, except you do. You've got the launcher.
Yeah, Fodder Launcher did not exactly work out as I had planned. I had surprisingly few targets.
You were expecting me to actually have creatures on the board. For the record, I was also expecting me to actually have creatures on the board, and that did not happen.
You failed your hideaway, but that's okay, because you still won today.
Even though I failed my hideaway actually granted me a lot of additional consistency, and that's partially why it's here.
Well, it's kind of like a scry. It lets you get rid of undesirable cards, which is always a good move. I'm just pulling from my deck some other cards that did not see play that I kind of wanted to see play. Also, yes, I was also sitting on a Hamlet-back Goliath during one of the games.
Yeah. Hamlet Black is fucking amazing.
He is. The only problem is, like, he doesn't have trample. I've had games where he had as much as 22-22, and he did not inflict damage to a player because the other player kept chumping.
And Lorwyn doesn't have any flying enchantments. I think it's got a green trample enchantment, though.
I have, if I used, if I used the Profane Command and chose the last one, I could give him Fear. That would have probably killed you.
Yeah. Fear is a great thing that I kind of wish we had more of. But again, Fear doesn't work on black or artifact.
Precisely. Which is why...
Intimidate's the one that's on shared colors, right?
It has to share colors, yeah. And honestly, I don't know which is better, Intimidate or Fear. They seem to be both equally effective in their own rights.
I actually think that Fear is better specifically because it denotes a color. But as I was attempting to describe, yeah, we didn't really explore Lorwyn. Lorwyn is important, though, because Lorwyn is the first instance of... Well, it's not the first instance of planeswalkers, technically. I mean, Nicobolus exists in one of the earlier... I want to say one of the earlier Urza sets. and Urza exists as well,
Hmm.
but as does Teferti. But Lorwyn is the first instance of Jace specifically, and I think it might be the first instance of Chandra, and I'm pretty sure it's the first instance of Ajani. And
Yeah, because
these would go on to be the main story focus for the Magic the Gathering lore for the next almost 20 years now.
yeah, because they've made like 3 Jaces. They made like 150 Lilianas. There was a few variants of
It's not
Garruk out.
150. It's like 4 Lilies and 5 Jaces.
There's still like it just begs the question: why is there more than one?
Because they're at different points in their life. I mean, we have the Origins planeswalkers, which are literally their first encounter. Lorwyn is not actually the start of Jace's story, which is really weird. Yeah, I don't know why the hell why they printed Jason Lorwyn when Ravnica was coming up soon, and that would have been made much more sense because um, during the Return to Ravnica block specifically, Jace ends up running the city because oh hey, I solved the Guild Pact. I'm now the living Guild Pact. Huh. I hate Jace
Narrative.
personally. I do. I think Jace is a fucking terrible character.
Meanwhile,
Johnny is awesome though.
our discussion aside, I did have a wild ricochet in my deck that would have been amazing if I actually had it in my hand. And I like cards. I like cards like this too. The Karn Wanderer. As long as a creature card with flying is in a graveyard, Karn Wanderer has flying. The same is true for Fear, First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Landwalk, Lifelink, Protection, Reach, Trample, Shroud, and Vigilance.
Which is very nice.
Which is very nice. So against your deck, I could have gotten flying. I could have gotten Vigilance.
I don't think so. I'm trying to see what keywords specifically.
Oh
You could have
right,
gotten
it has to be in the
You
graveyard.
could have gotten First Strike, I think.
Yeah, right, because of Bridget. Bridget had First Strike.
And Vigilance.
And
yeah,
it could have
gotten First Strike and Vigilance, but that's it.
and he could have gained Fear from either my Warp Boggart or my Pie Thief. I love the Pie Thief.
And you can get flying from Marsh Flitter. Alright, but this has been us attempting to explore Lorwyn. Alright. Lorwyn is honestly a pretty awesome set. But, we ended up playing very similar colors. I don't want to play blue-green, damn it!
I'll play blue green. I'm starting to get used to the idea of countering everything you do.
Alright, guys, be safe.
Peace out, y'all.